You're unmuted.
Morning, Mike.
Either. Okay.
All right, it's 9 o'clock. I think I'll call the meeting to order of the Board of Commissioners for July 14th in the Frank Walter House Boardroom. Could we get a roll call, please?
Janat,
Here.
Markey,
Here.
Matthews,
Here.
Nye,
Here.
Roloffs,
Here.
Sauer,
Here.
Craig, absent.
You'd stand for the invocation, and Bob, if you would, please. Sure.
Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Benzie County. I would ask for your guidance with the decisions we make today. Please keep all of our public safety personnel safe and free from harm. I ask this in the name of your Son. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As always, you had the agenda in advance. Is there any comments or questions, additions, deletions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
May I move to approve the agenda as presented?
Mark, you will support.
Thank you. One more opportunity. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You had the minutes in advance of the meeting, minutes for June 23rd.
And I was contacted with a couple corrections and they have been made.
I saw those, yeah. They look good.
If we're all good, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes as corrected, I guess.
I'll support.
Thank you. One more opportunity. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll move to our first public input, and Dan, I understand you'd like to come up first.
So hi, my name is Dan Kelly. I have a farm up on the north shore of Crystal Lake. We used to have some black and white cows there. I was back at the commissioners meeting a couple years back. You might remember me talking about why putting herbicides in Crystal Lake is a bad idea. There's definitely less toxic ways to handle milfoil. I'd want to remind the commissioners that herbicide is still being used in Crystal Lake, and I think it's still a mistake, and nobody voted for it. Okay, so what I'm actually here for today is to talk about a new business, which is Benzie.live, www.benzie.live. It's a community calendar, a comprehensive community calendar for the county. And it's a pretty simple idea, really. It's not like the most mind-blowing business idea you're going to hear today, probably. But what's unique about Benzie.live is that I built it with AI. And I'm curious how the commissioners are thinking about AI generally and the potential benefits and challenges this technology presents for the county. There's a bit of controversy about this, a lot of nonsense and hype. So I started building Benzie.live to find out what was possible with AI and what might be coming. Because the only way to really know is to start figuring out, what it does and what's capable of. And I'm going to give you a brief overview of Benzie.live and just for some context. So has anybody seen this site yet? Benzie.live, anybody looked at it yet?
Just now.
Great. So the objective is to bring all events in the county into one place. What's happening in our restaurants, our parks, libraries, schools, churches, government. There might be music performances there, meetings, workshops, garage sales even. All our events, that's the goal. It's free to view for visitors and residents. There's no advertising. There's no data sales from the site. And basically, you're wondering, well, how does this make money? We actually will sell events. If you want to put an event on Benzie.live, it's $11 for 111 events. That's 10 cents an event. And the idea is that it's designed to be playful, but not addictive. It's all the information you want to find on the county. It's fun to use, and you basically get on there and get off. So you're not spending a lot of time on the screen. All right, so are there any questions about this at all?
Dan, there is no exchange with the commissioners. Please present.
Okay, sorry, thank you. So that's pretty much it. It may not be the first AI project in the county, but it likely won't be the last. And, are the commissioners considering how AI might affect the county? For instance, our economy, the local aesthetic, what we think we are all about here. And is there any motivation with the commissioners to get ahead of this? And look, maybe with surveys, research, and perhaps drafting some guidelines? And if so, if you'd like to explore this in more depth, I'm happy to come and talk to you about it. That's it. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for being here, Dan. Any other members from the public? If not, we'll close public comment and move into elected officials and department heads. Rebecca?
Cut her off.
I came in at the right time. Good morning, Rebecca Huber's Office of Emergency Management. FEMA update. I think I told you before, we did get a presidential declaration for Benzie County for the storm activity and flooding that we had from April 10th through the 20th type of. You put in a local declaration on the 14th, I believe it was, or the 15th. So we have gone through that step of the process, which means anybody in Benzie County who was impacted by flooding during that window of storms that we have is allowed to apply. Whether they get anything or not, that's still a FEMA consideration, but anybody can apply for assistance based on storm damage for their homes. FEMA only covers your primary residence, your home. There are small business association loans that may help with like property. And we had some North Shore slope sliding on private property. SBA might be able to cover that, where FEMA will not, because it doesn't involve an actual structure residence. So our website, my page on the Benzico website has all of the links to help people get to those application processes. I've put it on social media. If anybody has any questions, you can reach out. I've had people reach out already, and I've helped them start the process, just because everything is done by an app or computer right now. Not everybody has those resources. So I did reach out and ask for FEMA to do a pop-up in Benzie County in case people wanted to talk directly to FEMA. And they have gone to the higher priority areas like Cadillac and Gaylord. So I have to keep asking, but they've not been committed yet. So I will help in the meantime, at least help load documents and help them with their sign-ins and logins and all the stuff that now we have to do it that way. So any questions for me on that particular process program? Yes.
I've been reached out to by Beulah.
Mhm.
And she's working on some stuff. I'm just a little confused because Friends paid for the fix. How's that gonna work?
So, yes, so I talked to FEMA directly. The Friends, you have to have a minimum of $4,200 worth of damage. Your bill was not 4,200. It was 3,700. I did call Charlie originally and I said, can you find me more damage? And he never got back to me.
That's because he's not in there anymore.
But
I got
it
her.
was when he was in it.
Okay.
So, and he never got back to me and there was a transition. So when I talked to FEMA, he's like, can anybody else absorb the less than 4,100? So Beulah, I asked her to reach out to me, but she reached out to you. Beulah is going to try to help you be the fiduciary for that particular project because yours didn't meet the threshold, but theirs does. Include yours and then probably cut Friends a check when they get the reimbursement for that particular portion of the project. Because it's right there in Beulah, and to be honest, the debris that went into your trail belongs to Beulah. It all rolled downhill and damaged your trail,
They can
so,
have it back.
yes.
She asked for time.
Oh, if there
submit
was,
some hours from the volunteers, that's pretty hard to.
yeah, if someone knows that they spent a significant, like, we spent 5 hours apiece, 5 volunteers spent 5 hours cleaning that up. That work is in kind, and it's worth something in the world of getting paid back type of thing. So because everything is a match plus a drop percentage, kind of like when we did the hazard mitigation, I collected your time every time you were at a meeting. That's worth something so that they get more money back in return. So if they have some documented hours, that will help.
I'll work on that.
Even if it's something simple like 5 volunteers for
Yeah.
5 hours to clean up work.
Thank you.
Really?
Please.
I just want to make sure I understand correctly. So you're saying any resident who had damage to their primary residence can apply for a recovery, but entities like municipalities who had damage had to apply in advance, right? There was a deadline.
Yes, that's July 30th. So, I already sat down with those entities. They are very familiar. The road commission, their work, doesn't fall under FEMA. It'll fall under something else that has to do with the Department of Transportation because, certain roads were already in a level of, FEMA will only fix to what happened and like a minute before the flood. So if we had a whole road washout, they'd help with the road. If they have alligatoring on an old road, that is kind of needed a culvert anyway, FEMA won't do that, but there are other entities that will. So, I applied for, 2 roads from Benzie County. I applied for the Friends of the Trail. I applied for Benzonia, the Veterans Park washout, and I applied for Beulah for their, lift station failure. And so those 4 entities were all presented already to FEMA.
Okay.
And now they're doing the Let's Go Forward. You can apply, and you can apply. So that's why I reached out
Gotcha.
to Benzonia, Beulah, and then Beulah is gonna assist the trail and the road commission has to find funding elsewhere.
Thank you.
Anything else, Rebecca?
No, there's no more questions. I recommend people, individual assistance, if they need more help to reach out to me or check the website.
Thank you for the follow-up. Any other department heads or electeds?
Morning, coming with a Maples update. It's been a little while since I've been here. Just looking back at the past quarter, our census has ran over 99%. Over the last 3 months, we had 46 referrals in the month of April, 56 referrals in the month of May, and 75 referrals in the month of June. Each month, we were able to take 10 individuals, but we're running full, so that's where we're at. In June, 37 of those referrals were residents of Benzie County. It's pretty much half every month are people from Benzie County. So we're looking between 30 and 40 plus referrals from residents of Benzie County every month. Employment wise, we're sticking right between 150 and 160 employees today. I checked it as I walked out the door today and we're at 156. So we're staying strong with that. We have a lot of big things happening this summer. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but Joy to Ride Benzie is diminishing. That nonprofit is diminishing and they are donating everything to the Maples. We were pretty much utilizing it the most. So we got 2 of the bikes. We're really excited as that transition happens. So in summers past, we've done 1 day a week. So we usually get 4 to 6 residents out on the trail riding a bike. We're going to do 2 days a week now. So pretty awesome. We are also doing our community education series. So 1 night a week, all summer long. We have education right in the facility for people to come in, education from local attorneys coming in and talking about estate planning, to, I think this week is, Dementia 101. We're also having all about the Maples on the next week. So the 28th, I think. So we're really excited about that. And we've had a really great turnout. Last week, we had like 20 people coming from the community, to learn about dementia and how you can help. And then we also have Teepa Snow and her team coming to the Maples this fall to train our staff. If you don't know who Teepa Snow is, she is a world-known occupational therapist, but all things dementia. She has a positive approach to care education, so she'll be coming to teach 1 one-on-one, our staff in the building. But also we have set up, so she will be doing a community presentation at the Garden Theater, and that's going to be September 30th, but we'll have some stuff coming out about that, but we're really, really excited about that. The reality is that 65% of our residents have a diagnosis of dementia. And that's only going to increase. And so we know that we need to become the experts in that field. And so we're doing what we need to get there. We're pretty excited about it. Questions?
Go ahead, Gary.
And this is more of a thank you and pat you on the back. I ran into Scott and he's very impressed financials that the Maples have been able to accomplish. And I just wanted the public to know how well you guys are handling. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Megan, you were talking about a 99% census, meaning basically you're full.
We are full.
What percentage of that are Benzie County residents, do you think?
I did the numbers. I just had someone ask me this. So 85% are actually Benzie County residents. The other 15, I really looked at the people. They are either people who lived in Benzie County and then moved. So we have a gentleman right now, he lived in Benzie County his entire life, started having effects of dementia, moved to California with his daughter for 5 years and then came back. So his address when he came back, or when you run the numbers, is California, but he lived here his entire life. Others would be like family members. So my mom got sick. I'm bringing her up here to live with, or to be close to me so I can be part of her care. And, so
What you're telling me is
85% are actual, they have a Benzie County address when they moved into the Maples.
so what you're telling us is that we're taking care of the folks from Benzie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just for the public's benefit, several years ago, we sat down with the board. This is one of the changes we wanted to see. And I'm going to echo what Gary, the compliment Gary just gave you under your leadership. We're getting to right where we need to go.
Thank you.
So good job.
We have a great team.
Anything else from the board? Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Don't feel like you got to stay. Any other department heads or elected officials that would like to speak? Katie, anything you want to say about animal control? I see we've got a pretty comprehensive report in here.
So that is the report that we've been providing just about every other month already for quite some time now. That is the report that just really gives you the numbers as to what's happening up in the animal shelter. And we'll continue to provide that report to you. So what you'll see here in the report, as far as animal intake, we had 4 cats that were intaken, 1 dog, 1 stay-in. We transferred in 5 dogs, actually. We worked with Antrim County. We were light on dogs, and Antrim County was struggling with getting some dogs out the door. So we transferred in 5 Antrim County dogs to help get them, out the door and into new homes. And so these are just the numbers as they're shown. And as you can see here, really cool. We had 156 guest visits into the shelter. That's typically volunteers, and then in addition to those who may be adopting an animal. So they're pretty busy up there.
Now that you've opened weekends.
Yeah.
Getting quite a turnout on weekends from
Yeah.
residents of the county.
Yeah, that's been an ideal day for volunteering too. Because a lot of people work a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And so the weekends we get quite a few volunteers in on the weekends to pet the animals and walk the dogs and such. And we are starting to get some volunteers who are helping with cleaning and stuff now too. So that's been really great for that. But then in addition to, yes, it's weekend hours are the preferred hours for most of the general public because folks work. Yeah.
Any other comments or questions on animal control? Joe's been here about 60 days, right?
Not quite, but yeah.
Not quite.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that have been laid out for him to explore.
Yep.
Is there anything in a short 60-day period that he has notably changed that we should know about?
Well, he's really gotten out into the community a lot. You may have seen him at the parade over the 4th of July. He had the animal control vehicle there as well as the shelter staff. We closed down the shelter for about that hour so that everybody could walk in the parade with the animals. And they even took some of the animals in there. We have an event coming up very soon at Lucky Dog. Make a dog a lucky dog, and it's going to be an adoption event. So he's very much into the community, trying to educate the community and grow some excitement in the community about animal control. He's reached out to the schools and the summer camps. He actually had a group of kids from one of the summer camps here in Benzie County come into the shelter for a day to learn about the shelter, learn about some of the animals and, what it takes to be an animal control officer. And he's also reached out to the schools to do that a bit more in the schools as well, to help educate people on, just taking care of animals and encourage folks to want to go into that field. So really, the big thing that Joe has done that's just been amazing is really just getting into the community and making those connections and growing the excitement around animal control.
Do you have a time frame for the Make a Dog a Lucky Dog? Is there a month selected or I won't?
Well, it just got rescheduled, so let me tell you. Let me see. I'll have to get back to you on that. I can't find it rather quickly on my phone. But I know that it just got rescheduled and they had texted. Oh, here we go. July 25th will be the first event. I don't know what time yet, though.
Katie, I know I should probably hesitate in asking the question, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. With respect to social media, for a while we were having a lot of activity on social media. I know some of it you were tempted to respond to, and with my encouragement, I suggested that we not on some of it. Where do we stand today with that?
Fine. They're using social media. They post animals online. There's good feedback online. We use Pet Finder now as well. Things really are back to normal from a social media standpoint.
Very good.
Yeah.
Can I revisit one more point? We had a budgeting session yesterday and I just want to address again the sentiment that perhaps the August Headley reset, if animal control were rolled into the general fund, there is not an effort or a sentiment to reduce funding for animal control. And we did talk about that at our budgeting session yesterday. Did you have a percentage of the increase of the animal control budget that we were considering?
It's almost a 100% increase based on hiring an additional officer, planning for some of those upgrades needed into the shelter, bringing on, the staff and the additional part-timer to really grow the service. The idea of hiring an additional officer is there's more coverage for animal control. Joe's going to start shifting his schedule and doing some afternoons because a new officer will be coming on board and they'll have more not quite 24/7 coverage, but much closer to that coverage. And so we are absolutely not, tightening the strap on that, trying to get rid of animal control by any means. What we're doing is we're investing into animal control because we know that it's such a priority for our community. And so we're investing into that service tremendously, trying to make it the best service that we can for the residents of Benzie County.
Thank you.
Thanks for putting that out there, Rhonda. Any other comments or presentations under elected officials or department heads? If not, but we have the bills in front of us. I know that I did I did APs 1 week. Who else did in the last 2 weeks?
2 or 3 weeks I did.
Okay. All right. So you have the bills in advance. I'd look for a motion if you're comfortable.
Trigg moves to approve the bills in the amount of $512,584.51.
Thank you.
Matthew Sports.
Thank you. One more opportunity for comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mark,
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloff?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Trigg?
Yes.
Janat?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Very good. Unfinished business. Katie, you want to kick us off with the August general operating millage?
Yes, so in the packet, you have additional information related to the general operating millage reset that many are starting to see on their ballots. Local clerks have been sending ballots out to their homes already for those that are absentee. And then the election, of course, is coming up here in just a couple of weeks. So Benzie County does have the general operating millage reset on the ballot in addition to the jail millage too. These millages support the services that we provide to the community. Specifically, the general operating millage, as we've talked about, this is the second attempt to reset since 1982. The first attempt did fail, but we are hopeful that the voters understand the why behind this. Benzie County isn't asking to reset back to the general operating millage as it was in 1982, which was initially put in place at 5.29. They are asking for 4.4399. In the packet, you will see a blue and white general operating millage reset 2-pager that was mailed to the taxpayers of Benzie County. That was either included within the tax bill or sent separately. Some townships included blurbs within their newsletter as well. So just about everyone in Benzie County should have received at least something along with their tax bill related to the general operating millage and what that means for Benzie County, as well as the township that they live in specifically. Because as a reminder, this isn't just about us, it's also about the townships within Benzie County working to reset their millage also for the first time since 1982. This reset includes animal control, like we just talked about, any upgrades to animal control, specifically adding an additional enforcement officer to animal control and drug enforcement, or TNT, which some know it as. Both of those levies actually expired with the 2025 tax levy. So that means that those ones are technically expired. And so if they're not part of the general fund, those services could cease to exist. The school resource officer, which is the third one that's going to be wrapped into the general fund, that one technically has another levy towards it. But the promise to the community is that if the general operating millage is reset, all of those levies will be zero because they'll be part of that general operating millage. The general operating millage adds flexibility to the county and to the townships as to how to allocate those dollars. It gives us that flexibility to bolster services that need to be bolstered and maybe taper back on services that need to be tapered back on. Right now, we don't have that flexibility. Dollars that are within a special levy specifically, those dollars are for that special levy. So if we have one service that has quite the surplus, 100% fund balance, we don't have the opportunity to use those dollars for another fund that maybe has no surplus at all. And so then we'd have to make those forced cuts to that. In addition to the increase, it also is thinking about other services that we provide where we're maxed out on a levy. Central dispatch funding is an interesting one. It's done through a surcharge with the cell phones. And as we've talked about over several years, it's not an ideal way to fund central dispatch for Benzie County or really anybody in the state of Michigan. All the folks who come and visit us all summer long, their cell phone bills are registered to their homes in other cities and counties. We don't get the help of those surcharge dollars to run that service. And in the summer, Rachel can attest to, that service ramps up. It's very busy for those folks because we have so many people within Benzie County. And so we're looking to help also offset that budget because it is currently unable to balance itself. So we're using fund balance to balance that one as well. The general operating millage, we're here for questions. We're here for answers. Anyone who still has questions about it, we've been talking about it at every meeting. We've went to every township and, different community events. We'd encourage anyone to come visit us in our office or visit our website. We did create a website specifically for the general operating millage, benzierenewal.org. You can link to it right from our homepage of our benzieco.gov website. And there is a tax calculator on there. That tax calculator is, we did update it with the most recent taxable value data that the Equalization Department was able to put together. And on that tax calculator, if you put in your parcel number, you can calculate the increase in taxes that you would see for this being approved. It averages out to be about 22 cents a day for the average taxpayer in Benzie County. So that's where it's at. Is there any questions?
Please.
Can you go over again, on your, we just got our tax bills, right? And there's a couple of numbers on there. There's your taxable value, which you just talked about, and then there's your SEV, which right, is your estimated, or not, I mean, sorry, which maybe it's worth, right? And can you
Sure.
kind of talk about the difference between those, like the longer you have your home, the greater the difference between those numbers?
Yes, so on your tax bill, you see taxable value and you see state equalized value. And so when the state of Michigan put into place the Proposal A, that's when we established this taxable value and state equalized value and how those numbers change on their own. What Proposal A did is it put a cap at what your taxable value can grow by. It's 5% or the rate of inflation, whatever is less. So that puts a cap on how fast your taxable value can grow. And your taxable value is what determines the amount of taxes that you're going to pay. Your state equalized value in theory is 50% of the worth of your home. And so that's why sometimes you see on your tax bill, that number might shoot up $50,000, but then in another year, it might actually go down. That is considered 50% of your home's value. And that's why that one changes much more wildly than the taxable value does, because the taxable value is the cost of rate of inflation or 5%, whatever is less. When the rate of inflation is above 5% and we use that 5%, typically then we have a ratio of 1, and then the rollback might not happen. But anytime the rate of inflation is less, what happens is that creates the factor ratio that we then have to times by the previous levy, which creates a rollback. And so actually this year, or this summer tax bill that you just received, the general operating millage is actually 3.18. So we've actually rolled back a bit further with this tax year based on the rate of inflation. And so it's actually 3.18 now versus the 3.2399 when we were talking about this initially. But that really is the difference. That taxable value is capped, and it doesn't raise like it would if it was your value of your home. You always use the taxable value when determining your levy, not the state equalized value or the SEV.
And typically your SEV is going to be higher,
Mm-hmm.
typically.
Yes, typically. Well, it should always really,
Yeah.
in theory, be higher.
Well, it could be the same.
Yeah, or it could be the same. Maybe the first year you buy the home or build the home, it could be the same or very close. Yeah,
It comes uncapped, it goes to that, right?
not always. No.
But most of the time it does.
You'd have to ask Michael Beach on whether it's most or sometimes. But it doesn't always, no, because, you know, we're in a seller's market right now. And so houses are selling for potentially much more than they're worth. And so just because it sold for $1 million does not mean that the taxable value went up to $1 million. It does not happen. The other thing too is we in Benzie County have a lot of homes that are just transferring generation to generation. Those are never coming uncapped. And so Benzie County, then that's another, you know, tight point for Benzie County because those are never coming uncapped when they're transferred that way. It's only those homes that are sold, you know, outright, and then those taxable values come uncapped, but it's not necessarily at the price that you purchased it at.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Christie, thanks for the question. Question for the commissioners. The tax statements went out recently. I get multiple tax statements from different townships. Notice that in Joyfield Township, I did not get the insert. I'm wondering did you get an insert in your tax bill?
Well, one from Joyfield, I don't know.
No, what township do you live in?
Blaine.
Did you get an insert with your tax bill?
The boss checks them out, I don't.
Christie, did you get a tax bill?
I did get a tax bill.
Was the insert in there?
Insert
I
for
believe
kid.
the insert was in there.
Is it in it? Yeah, it's,
I'll check, hey,
I
but
if you would, please, this is Tim?
It definitely wasn't multiple tax bills for me, yes.
Okay. Tammy?
Yes.
Bob?
I'll tell you.
And Rhonda?
Yes.
Yes.
There's two things that are important about this. Most importantly for me is we paid for it. So if you find that in your township, it did not get in there, you need to let Katie know because we want to get a refund from the people that we contract with. Did you ever have a chance to check about Joyfield?
Not Joyfield, but I checked with Paula for hers. She received it. Ellie received it in Benzonia. I know I received it in Inland. So I did check around the building and everyone I talked to received it. Greg or Rebecca, you guys received something? And you're in Joyfield.
They're in,
So maybe yours just got missed.
Don't assume it. There was an insert in there, but it had nothing to do with Headley.
Okay.
All right, so if you would, check that and report back to administration, if you would. And also just, I do get phone calls on this, most of them, by the way, very encouraging. I've had after a lot of conversations, people said, okay, I think I understand what you're trying to accomplish, which is encouraging for me. But I got a phone call late last evening from someone out of the public that said, hard to understand you're publicly opposed to this. Just for the record, you can look at my vote, so I'm not opposed to this. So I don't know where that came from. Are you getting much comments or questions from your communities?
Just attending the Inland Township meeting last night. It was brought up by the council that there have been some complaints about it. What is this doing in here? We're advocating that people to vote this way. And my take on that was it was an informational thing. It wasn't thou shalt vote for this or else kind of thing. It was here are the facts. And so I just want everybody to, when they go back to their townships, just to let people know that that's the whole idea of this insert, is just simply to present the facts, just like we do every meeting here. Where, we're not standing up there with signs saying, vote for me, vote for this program. That's all this is giving the population out there, the voting public, the facts of the program and what it's all about.
Right. Yeah, this is just providing education.
Yep.
Mhm.
Rhonda, are you getting any contacts?
I've talked with many residents on the phone. I've sat in people's living rooms. I've addressed it at every meeting that I've been at. I've found many people to be supportive. There's a lot of people who are against it. The few people who I've spoken with who and again, as Len said, I'm not trying to sway anybody. I'm simply providing the information, which is my job as a commissioner. So I do that at any time I'm asked.
Bob, how about you?
Minimal at best.
Tim?
I've had lots of conversations, we've been discussing this for years. I bring it up frequently at the township and village meetings. It was interesting that, as we're getting closer, it's like, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
But no, lots of conversation.
Christie?
Yes, and people want to know exactly how much their tax bill is going to be raised. And that's why I asked that question. Looking at your tax bill, knowing which number we are calculating from, and it's going to be your lower number.
Are you getting any comments?
course, I'm getting comments. My rebuttal to everything is I want you all to vote. Next month, it's your choice, make up your mind. This is what everybody's had our talks and been to everything pretty much. And I don't think anybody's missing anything. It's that I want the public to make the decision and get out there and vote.
Well, there's not any employee, not any elected official that can sit on the bench with this. We all have to be available to have comment or discussions with our constituents about educating them. And it's a foregone conclusion whether you support it or not, because you're on record with what your position was. All right. Anything else on that, Katie, that we should discuss? All right. If I could invite Commissioner Fiebing up. Commissioner Fiebing, thanks for taking the time to be here today.
You're welcome.
As just to kick this off, I'd had several contacts regarding lake levels, primarily at Crystal Lake, and I know you're well aware of this.
Sure am.
And we had at a recent meeting, we had folks in that work for you, that are with the Conservation District, from the general public, explaining to us their concerns. There's been some real property damage apparently around the lake. We had at that meeting or a subsequent meeting, we had, in an effort to assist you, we had put a resolution together maybe empowering somebody else that has the time that to be able to pay more attention to this. I know you work full-time also. I invited you to meet with me off-site about this. You chose to do it in this format. So we need you to explain yourself as to how we got to this point where we have property owners around the lake that are saying, look, we've got real damage and we don't feel like it's being properly managed.
Let me address it in this matter. This is the second season that I've handled the lake levels in Benzie County. I'm going to do kind of a comparison between 25 and 26. To start things off is that our April of this year was the fourth wettest month that we've had since 1961. We got over 8.25 inches of rain. Makes it very difficult to control things. We started with the spillway on opening it up on or about the 9th or 10th of March when I received a phone call from Hugh Walton at the Crystal Lake Watershed Association. And we started flowing. At that time, he informed me that we were about 11 inches over the winter level at that time. We still had ice on the water. No measurements were being taken by Craig at that time. I had instructed Craig to dig the ditch and start flowing the water. We let the water flow. We can only function with 3 out of the 5 gates down there. If we go to 5 gates, we have a real mess down below the spillway. It stayed that way. We handled it, I thought, very well through that point. We kept the 3 gates open till the end of April. On March 1st, we gained 6 inches of water level on the lake at that time. Craig has, over the years, I've reviewed whatever records I can glean from basically county board meeting agendas and packets. I've gone back 10 years. He automatically has dropped the boards at either the 1st of May or the 30th of April. All the boards are shut. In the process of this, in this time frame, in late March, John Ransom from the Conservation District had inquired about sea lamprey and possible sea lamprey invasion going into Crystal Lake. I did a quick Google search, and yes, it is possible. I also reached out to Heather Henninger, the fish biologist from the state of Michigan over at Platt at the fish hatchery, and had a conversation with her on that. The one thing that I gleaned from her conversation is the run basically starts once the water temperature goes to 41 degrees. We did not hit that mark until late April. I am using the monitor setup that the watershed provides online. There are some calibration issues with that. I'll talk to you about that a little further down this. I didn't have a problem with Craig at that time dropping the 3 gates. I went and did an inspection on the 5th to answer my own question is, have we shut the water completely off there or what? At that point, we had water flowing over everything. In particular, the 3 gates, we were probably flowing better than 2 inches over it. It maintained a water level around what it kept it at about 7 inches. We were over at that point, and I expected it to slowly go down from there. It did a little bit, but by the 3rd week, it did not affect the water level at that point. We went back to 3 gates open on that. It stayed that way for a couple weeks. Then Hugh from the Crystal Lake Watershed Association reached out to me and suggested that we slow it down a little bit, try to conserve some water for later on in the season. We did that for another couple of weeks going into June. I got my second phone call from one of your citizens that spoke last time. We opened it back up again. We ran 3 gates until the 4th of July weekend. At that point, we've had water level. It was under 2 inches at the 4th of July. Dropped it down to 1 gate for safety reasons down there, because we get a lot of visitors down there that like to play in the water down there. We have kept it at that point since. As of last Thursday, I spoke to Craig, we were 3/4 of an inch over the recommended limit of the court at that time. We're still flowing 1 board, and I believe that probably on Thursday, we're going to shut that other board down and maintain the lake at that level. It will be it may be fractionally over, it may be fractionally under the suggested level of the courts. I believe that this year, the damage that we have received, I believe, correlates with the amount of rain that we received this year. And I think we've done a phenomenal job in removing all that water off of that at this point. This time, we did not reach last year the suggested level till the end of July. Here we are, the 13th, 14th of July, and we're within a fraction, a very small fraction, 1/4, maybe 1/2 inch on that with what's been removed. I have worked with Craig. I've kept in contact with Craig, particularly after the 1st of May. Quite obvious, we didn't need to talk much between when we opened it up and the end of April. The water was there. There was just leave it open and let it flow on that part. We had this discussion about contact last August when I appeared in front of you. I had corrected that problem. I am in touch with Craig at least once a week to see what the measurements are and give him instructions from there at that point. I just, for myself, like I said, we had compared last year, this year, we had the rain early. Last year at this time, we had it late. We had it in May and June. Things didn't turn up until all of a sudden we get a pretty good rain the end of June and some wind and thunder, and all of a sudden we have problems. I think that we can correlate that with the rainfall on the amount of erosion. We get an exceptional rainfall, we are going to have exceptional erosion. If we don't get the rainfall, we don't hear anything. I have handled numerous phone calls throughout the season. I answer those phone calls. If they're phone calls that do not pertain to my particular requirements, I do go out and take a look and point them in the right direction where they should go to remedy their problems. So, with that said, on that part, I'd like to address some of the issues from the video that I watched of the last meeting there. I had touched on the monitor deficiencies. That is something I brought up to Hugh and the Watershed Association about that. They are aware of it. I believe Ellen Hirschfire is in charge of that with the watershed. I'm not, from what Hugh had told me, I'm not positive on that though, at this point. And I work with it within that. I look at that monitor at least twice a day, early in the morning and when I hit the road at night, before I hit the road at night. I'm aware of what that, I think for the most part, I have the deficiencies figured out where I believe that their calibration is off by about 1/10 of an inch of a foot on that. Excuse me. There, Jeanette mentioned the dam reconstruction. It's kind of futuristic. It is going to need to be done. I have talked with Hugh at the association again about that, and he's of the mindset that we're looking at a multi-million-dollar project in order to redo that on that. That's going to take probably some sort of an assessment district around Crystal Lake to pay for that, and possibly state and federal grants if those are available for that. The issues about damages to septic and water wells, I have gone over to the health department on the water well issue. I also had a discussion with John Ransom yesterday, and he showed me pictures of it. That in particular, I feel that is probably, the placement of that is probably a mistake that would be considered a mistake today, where back in 2008, it was considered okay. I'm aware that Crystal Lake, I believe, and you have approved some restrictions in zoning or construction on things there. I'm not exactly sure what that's all about. That may diffuse that problem in the future. The one on the septic tank, I have heard about that third hand. I inquired about that with the health department. They had known nothing about it. John Ransom was even surprised when I mentioned it to him yesterday. He had not heard anything about it. I had asked Craig about it, and he told me that he was told about that by you. The question about seawalls and retaining walls there, that is basically the best way that those are going to function is going to be if we were to line up the North Shore in one long continuous break wall. The homeowners, I believe, take care of it themselves. Some choose to, some choose not to. If you look at our own structure on the dam, eventually water will work its way back behind it and will erode away at it on that. The one in particular that I saw photos of yesterday with John that he had, it shows that it's getting washed out from underneath, and that there's really no plant vegetation, root structure to help keep that in place on that. I'm not an expert on retaining walls. I've taken a couple classes on installing a particular brand of retaining wall, and drainage and support behind that is very important. And some of these walls, I don't know when they were done, whether they just threw rocks in there or took the time and the effort to put something a little more less coarse and finer in behind there to help retain. I don't know on that part. The part with the boat hoist, I believe usually April is the season for installation of boat hoist and probably early May. Difficult to do, I can understand when you've got 8 inches of rain and you're a foot above what you're usually used to working with. I can't address that. We had everything wide open and doing the best we can to remove that water. With John, comments that John Ransom has made, I pretty much agree with him on that. We could use some technology update there, obviously. One thing that hasn't been mentioned is down below the spillway. And I took a look down there after we had the rains in April, the bad rains. I saw road water across the road there on Molyneux, particularly on the west of the spillway creek and stuff. And it's just, I don't know how much we can do there to do anything with that. One of the things that we did do was put the boards down and try to do some lamprey control for them, but we obviously did the best we could. I don't think we're going to have a problem there. And talking with Heather, she sees it minimal at this time. I do need to give the watershed credit in the sense of taking the initiative, or whoever, of putting the lip in there on the spillway to try to help alleviate that invasion into the lake. I want to, at this time, the question came up about liability, if the county could be liable for any damage there. I'd like to take the liberty of reading the last couple paragraphs of the court order that was entered in late 1979. Based upon the facts before the court feels the lake level of Crystal Lake should be attempted to be controlled through the use of a dam located at the outlet of said lake, and that the County Road Commission is the proper person for attempting to control said lake through adjustments to the level of the dam by removing or placing boards in said dam. It is ordered that the County Road Commission shall attempt to maintain a level of 600 feet, 600.25 feet above sea level for the period May 1st through October 31st of each year, and a level of 599 feet, 70.75 feet above sea level for the period of November 1st through April 30th of each year. That the Road Commission shall have no obligation to attempt to control the level of the lake other than through changing the elevation of the dam, and shall not be responsible for damages caused to surrounding property owners as a result of carrying out the order of the court. I believe that answers the question on liability there. I do want to touch on one other thing while we are on the subject of the court order. There was a order presented, a resolution in 1999 with then Drain Commissioner Terry Money that basically removed the word Road Commission from this order to the Drain Commissioner at that time. Excuse me. I have, since this has come up, I have taken the time to do a little more homework on this. I have had a discussion with Tom Horak, who is a head of Dam and Safety Unit with the DEQ, and spoke to him about our problems that we have here. He is passing this on to the regional boss, Mike Size. We are going to initiate a hydrology study of what kind of flow we're getting through the spillway and the obvious choke point with 115 and capacity of what the stream can handle there on that. I believe that maybe in some ways we should just keep our mouth shut and keep things as they are, because somebody in another division at Eagle could say, we have a designated trout stream there. We can't do this. We can't do that. We may end up be in a situation like Glen Lake where they have to continually flow water for the Crystal River. And that could elevate lake levels. Who knows what, it's a can of worms. I'm just speculating on that. To me, I think it's somewhere we don't want to go on that. That's my personal opinion. Some solutions to this, I've mentioned the hydrological studies to determine the flow rates. The part about ownership was brought up at your meeting. It's really an issue have taken up a little bit and done some research on. I have a copy of the deed where the Crystal Lake Boat Club has given it to the county.
Mike, can you explain yourself? What do you mean ownership of the water, you mean?
Of the spillway.
Oh, okay.
I'm referring to the spillway. It also includes provisions for maintenance of the spillway of the adjacent properties that were involved with that at that time. I do not have a clear picture of how much that involves or anything. We're looking at the worksheet that I've asked for and been provided by Equalization. The last registered document is that deed dated 1911 or 1913. So I believe at this point right now it's the county that owns the spillway. It's a belief that the Road Commission does. I don't know. We don't have a deed that's recognized by Equalization. There could be a resolution that was made by a previous board of supervisors or the commission that transferred that over. I have no idea. I want and plan on going ahead and having a title search done to see what we have there. We really have no idea what we have access to or not there on that.
Can I interrupt you, Mike? Would you back up for just a second? What will the hydrological study, what will that tell you?
It will give us like the capacities and the flow rates that we have. A stream may be able to only flow so much water without blowing over the banks and stuff.
Okay.
We had how much water we have that flows through the spillway.
Okay.
We have no idea about that right now. How much water flows underneath the bridge at 115. It's an obvious choke point. I've done some very simple math. I can't give you a ratio of how bad it is, but we opened 30 linear feet of spillway there, and we only have 16 lineal feet of bridge that we try to funnel water under there.
Thank you. I
Okay,
apologize for
we need to
interrupting.
know those flows, and that way we can fine tune this better if we have more information to do this job on this. Communications, we need to work on that. Amongst myself and Craig, I don't so much see a problem there. Hearing things from the public and getting them from you to me, it's non-existent. I have one supervisor that called and complained to me about it. I asked her for a name and address for it. I got nothing. I have not heard anything from the board on who these people are. I've heard a lot of this second and third hand in order to do this. I can answer those questions to a point. Records are a big thing with me here. Like I said, I've gone through the last 10 years of commissioners' packets in order to glean the water measurements. What is available beyond that, I don't know. I wanted to ask Tammy that was the genesis of my phone call yesterday, was if you had any other records on that are available. I would believe that somewhere there are some specifications for both the spillway for Platte and for Crystal. My guess is that those are at the road commission. I've inquired about them several times, and it's like, yeah, they're somewhere under the dusty box or something. There's really been no attempt to me, why didn't previous drain commissioners do that job and bring those up on that? It certainly is a deficiency that we have in this department. Couple other things. I believe that an office of some sort to work with some of this stuff and to store those records is in order. I don't know how much room Tammy has to keep all that stuff and stuff where, yeah, I could go to her. It's just a matter of time where if that's made available to me in an office or setting of some sort, that would be great. There's two things I want to mention here. One group that was conspicuously absent from your conversation from the 23rd was there was no mention of the Crystal Lake watershed. And I have been working with them intensely, might be an over exaggeration with the word, but I've been working hand in hand with them throughout the whole year this year. And it started at late last summer with the initial contact with them. We go back and forth, we take suggestions and such, and I felt that it was kind of a disservice that there was no mention of them at the meeting at all. I also am aware that they do a pretty extensive, try to do a pretty extensive education program to inform the owners of properties there on the lake, on what you have there, kind of some of your responsibilities. They have brought in speakers that I'm aware of to discuss things that affect Crystal Lake there. And they also, on their website, provide some good general information about this. I'm pretty much done with this for today. I'll give you the short answer on your resolution. I'm not going to sign it. I just feel that we have performed very well with the conditions that we have been tossed at us, and with the tools that we have provided to work with on that. Thank you.
First, I want to acknowledge the preparation for this discussion. You gave us a lot of information we wouldn't have otherwise had. With respect to the resolution, just working backwards, that was an effort to help you.
No, I understand.
I have no interest in taking that
No,
responsibility.
I understand that.
Okay.
And I just thought I'd give you the short answer.
With respect to Crystal Lake Watershed, we would have invited anybody that thought that they could bring us some insight to this. Remember,
Yeah.
it's your job not to see it at ours.
Yeah.
And you've answered the question regarding liability, which again adds information that we didn't have before. It's that language, I wouldn't want to try to interpret it, but it seems very clear.
Yes.
That there is a known risk to property owners.
Yes.
And that was probably, Mike, our biggest concern is, where does this end up? Could the county end up finding themselves in court over this? Now, you and I both know anybody can take us to court. right?
Anybody can take it to court. You're absolutely right.
You had commented on the zoning. You understand that we don't do any zoning here at this level.
No,
right?
I understand, but from what little bit that I've gleaned of this issue, the previous board, I believe, and maybe Ms. Ellen knows, late 2008, 2011 or 2012, there was something approved, on setback, I believe maybe setbacks and restrictions or what. I'm not really that familiar with it. But I do know that there has been something, done special on Crystal Lake in particular.
Okay.
But I'm not educated enough to give you a more specific answer than that.
Yeah, nor am I. I know that somewhere around 2010, the
Yeah.
county commissioners, for financial reasons, like within 90 days, pushed it all back to the townships.
Yeah.
So we haven't been involved with that at all.
Yep.
Help me understand. I know that you commented on this a moment ago, but one of the comments that we got during the public presentation was that we may have been slow to react at the beginning of the season in terms of adjusting those boards.
That has been a discussion that I've had with Hugh about how we go about that. And one of the things that we need to deal with is definitely the elements there. What has been the common practice is that when either the 1st of April or like this year when Hugh called me and said, Mike, we need to do something. We need to dig the trench to open up the spillway. The dirt has been sufficient enough at that time, or those times, where we could do it with a shovel. What we're concerned about is if we find that we're a foot over water level, this is a hypothetical now, in middle of February, and we have frozen dirt there, how are we going to remove it then? And start that process earlier to have a better handle and to limit the damage, ice in particular of ice. I have thought of the idea of maybe getting a trash pump and just trying to blow a trench in there and see if that would work. The idea of bubblers has come up. I don't think that will work. I'm not positive. I need to ask Sean at next Parks and Rec if we're going to have a power drop put in there. I don't believe we are. with the improvements on the park there. The other thing is going in there with a mini excavator and trenching it out that way. That leads to, I think, some whole different ball game, especially with Eagle and running in the water, possibly with equipment. So we're not sure where that's going to go. I think what we're going to do is if we get in that situation, or we may play with it this coming season, excuse me, get a trash pump and play with that idea and see how well that works. So we're trying to be a bit more proactive in that sense than reactive, but it's a good thing that Hugh called on the 9th of March and said, hey, we got this problem, and we were able to get water flowing through there 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks faster than previous year on that. And that's, yeah, it's an issue, yes, and we're going to work on try to see if we can come up with a better solution than what we have.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're also looking at some groups that, if there's a way to modernize or upgrade what we're doing there, it's been there, I've been told, for like 100 years.
Some way or another. And I might make a suggestion at this point. If you really want a good history on the ups and downs of Crystal Lake, get hold of Stacy Daniels' book. Okay. The Comedy of Crystal Lake.
Got it.
You can't have it till the 1st of August because I've got it out of the library now.
Well, again, I want to acknowledge your preparation for this. Is there any other comments or questions the board would like to make? Keeping in mind, this whole session was about responding to the public. And hopefully we've done that now.
We've responded to what we've had presented with us with the lake. We have not so much heard anything from the public. I've answered Jeanette's phone calls. Mr. Kelly, who was here, I believe, was another one that called. I'm not sure if it's the right Dan Kelly or not, but there was a Dan Kelly that called me inquiring about that. And I've got the one other email that I'm aware of. That's been it. And Mary Pitcher.
Yeah, just for the record though, Mike, I did make an effort to get a hold of you.
I know you and I played phone tag for a little bit there.
I know that you're not available between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m.
Yep.
Is that correct? Which is, of course, when most of the public's going to want to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
I tried to call you at 9 o'clock at night unsuccessfully. Tried to call you at 8 in the morning unsuccessfully. Yeah. So please don't come in here and say we've not made an effort or we've not reached out.
You and I have played phone tag, and I guess we get in a little bit of inconvenience with what we do.
Yeah, I don't, but
we try to work around supper time and things like that. And maybe in the real world, that doesn't matter much anymore. But back when I was raised, it did a little bit. So,
and when you're elected official, you need to be available to the public.
Well, I know that from business. And if you don't return that phone call, you're not making money.
All right. If there's nothing else,
all right.
Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Katie, you want to talk about Central Dispatch?
Sure, I can take care of it. So what's in front of you today is a recommendation to confirm the appointment of Central Dispatch Director Donna Stevens. Donna Stevens is an internal candidate with Benzie County. She is here today if you'd like to meet her, but I believe you've met her before in the past too. What this recommendation for you today, it does confirm the rescinding of an offer to a prior candidate and then confirms the appointment of Donna Stevens to be the Central Dispatch Director. Being that she's internal, it does add a little stress to the situation because as we talked about yesterday, we're already short-staffed up there. And so we're already putting our heads together to try to just make that as light as possible on everybody for central dispatch, just working around schedules and those sorts of things. I don't have a lot to add. I was part of that interview with the sheriff, Fire Chief Mike McGurk, Commissioner Matthew, and Leslie. We all sat together and talked through this at length, and we're feeling comfortable and confident in this recommendation. And if Leslie wants to add anything, I will let her add it. Otherwise, if you'd like to officially meet Donna again, I can call her up as well.
The only thing I would like to add to this particular candidate and the motion is that the undersheriff did do a background check in a manner that we have that back. That's cleared. Occupational health screening has also been cleared.
I would say yes, have Donna come up and introduce herself.
Donna?
Hello, nice to meet you all. I'm Donna Stevens, a longtime resident of Benzie County here, born and raised. And thank you for considering me for this position.
I just wanted to see if the voice matched the one on the radio.
Less snappy right now.
Donna, did you apply for this position first time around?
I did not. I have a degree in biology, minor in chemistry. Looking at the job qualifications, they wanted a criminal justice background, and that's not a biology degree. So I was concerned about that. And then I talked myself into shooting my shot. And so here we are.
I will add that I have been part of a program through the Michigan Municipal League for quite some time, and it's the 1650 program. And it is specifically designed for women in leadership in local government. And the premise behind it is that 50% of the population roughly are women, and only 16% of them serve in a leadership role in local government. And that's because of that reason right there. She didn't hold all the qualifications based on the paper, so we hesitated. But the program encourages folks like Donna to step outside of that box and really put themselves forward and put themselves out there to grow as a leader. And so I'm very proud of her because she didn't even go through the program, and here she is putting herself out there to do that. So.
I do want to add that I have a great passion for a couple of things. My faith, my family, and Benzie County. I want to help the county as much as I can. My parents did that through foster care. Some of you may have known them in the past. And they instilled in me a great love for this county.
Glenn, were you on that interview?
Yes, I was. One of the things that impressed me about Ms. Stevens was not only did she appropriately identify her strengths and what she could immediately bring into this program, in addition to leading, but then sitting in the seat if necessary. Well, it's going to be necessary based on the numbers until we get, and then a plan and her number one goal being trying to bring more staff on board as quick as possible and try to streamline that. And then identifying that there was a few areas that she needed to work on as far as refining and growth opportunities, that kind of stuff too. So for me, that open and honest approach for me was kind of made it very easy to move forward with her.
Was that a unanimous support?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments for Donna? And before we seek the motion, you know that I feel strongly about the fact that this is your decision. This is a direct report to you. I'm assuming you wouldn't even be bringing it to us if you weren't committed to it. There's no other comments or questions. We'd entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll do that. Recommend that the Board of Commissioners affirms Benzie County Administration's decision in rescinding the previous conditional offer to Ms. Roy and offers the position of Central Dispatch Director to Donna Stevens, contingent upon successful background, occupational health screening, and reference check completion, which has been completed. at a starting salary of $65,920 plus appropriate benefits funds from the 261 dispatch fund.
Roll up, so support.
Thank you. One more opportunity for comment? If not, roll call, please.
Matthews?
Yes.
Nye?
Yes.
Roloffs?
Yes.
Sauer?
Yes.
Trigg?
Yes.
Janat?
Yes.
Markey?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. I
You
hope
bet.
to make you proud.
Thank
All
you.
right. Look forward to progress. Well, I think we'll get it started for a couple of minutes on new business before we take a short break. So do you want to introduce the first one? Katie?
Yes, so many of you may remember from a couple of years ago, we worked through the Economic Development Committee and we were able to obtain a rather large grant through the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority process. That grant is what helped to construct the convenience store and gas station right there in Honor, the new Shell station. Part of the process through brownfield redevelopment is that those funds come to the county and then the applicant, in this situation, True North, they then provide the information that says that the work that they did is allowable expenses under the brownfield. They had to clean up that property there. Many of you remember it used to be Bud's Auto many, many years ago. So there was quite a bit of cleanup to do on the ground there. They worked through those different cleanup efforts and Eagle has approved those cleanup efforts. So what that means is then the grant dollars were sent to Benzie County, and then it's our duty to now give them to True North. It's an incentive for them to have put that station there. And so the budget amendment in front of you for today is to then pay those dollars out. So $503,063. The grant was for up to $650,000. But the efforts that they did only ended up costing that 503 for them specifically. We as Benzie County, we also under that grant are allowed to maintain administrative fees. And so between myself and Susan Winslick with Fishback, we're maintaining about $20,000 of those grant dollars here in Benzie County in the Brownfield Fund specifically. So that's what's in front of you today is a budget amendment so we can make that payment to True North.
This is something we're obligated to. It's really
Yes.
not.
Yep.
Has anybody been to that
yeah.
gas station?
A lot of
yeah.
people go for Chester's Chicken, I learned.
They're busy.
Yeah, there.
Hell's Chester.
I didn't realize how busy they were
He's a
gonna
chicken.
be.
Yeah, they are all the time.
Yep. Even 3 o'clock in the morning.
So I will make the motion. I moves that the Board of Commissioners authorizes a budget amendment in the amount of $503,063 in the Brownfield Development Fund, Fund 243, as it relates to the Brownfield project with True North.
Mark, you will support.
One more opportunity for comments or questions?
My only question is 20,000 that you got for admin fees? That stay in the brownfield fund or is that?
It can technically go to the general fund if the board would like. And part of budgeting next week, we can talk specifically about that when we talk about the Brownfield Fund 243, because you could maintain those dollars in there as seed dollars to maybe create this revolving loan fund that other communities have created for cleanup efforts more at the local level. But you absolutely could put it into the general fund if that's what you desire.
Since it's been brought up, Katie, do we need to do any kind of budget amendment to accept those dollars and put them anywhere?
Nope, we had already done that to accept them. We just hadn't paid them. And so now we're paying them out. I was waiting on True North for an invoice to actually pay them. And it just took them a long time to get us those numbers. So you're seeing it now. But we had already budgeted to receive those dollars and we have the cash in hand.
I'm talking about the 20,000. Do we need to recognize that differently or?
We don't need to recognize it at this point because we're not spending it on anything.
Okay.
As part of budgeting next week, we'll talk specifically about those dollars. And then at that time with the budget, we'll recognize them as part of the budget for expenditures.
Was the land bank involved in this?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think so in that one.
Because in the past,
Yeah.
like,
I don't believe they were part of that because that was under an existing brownfield with the quarries as well. There was a
that's what they
agreement
got.
made between the quarries and True North. Quarries, I believe, got it maybe from the land bank. But True North got it from the quarries.
And then if you can just remind me, if you know, the TIF on that? What's the time frame on that?
I'd have to look into that. It's not very long. So typically the TIF is only as long as the project. And so when we were initially looking at it, we were looking up to a 3-year TIF, if I remember correctly. But I have to look into that a little bit further. Your TIF can only be as long as basically the project grant period. And so if it's a 10-year, this, has to match those parameters. I'd have to look to remember though, because this was over 2 years ago. I'd have to dig out all those details again.
Fair enough.
I remember it because I sat in the brownfield. I remember at the time, I thought that we gave them an extraordinary amount of time.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought
We
it was
did.
like 12 years.
I don't remember. We'd have to look.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Nye,
Yes.
Roloff.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes,
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Katie.
The next item, did Tom get with you, Tammy, on this one? The clinical?
I haven't gotten any.
Okay. The next item in your packet is for EMS. So just some time ago, we entered into an agreement with West Shore Community College for clinical relationship. This is to work together to allow for us to be an educational or training. When folks are getting their EMT and paramedic license, they need so many hours on site working with licensed professionals. And so we have clinical affiliation agreements in place to work through that, to cover liability, to ensure that we're a training facility in the proper protocol. And so what this is doing is this is extending the existing agreement we already have with West Shore because it's expiring specifically. So that's what this is for, is to create that relationship for into the future. We've had quite a few students with us. A lot of times the staff will stop in and introduce the students to us just so we can put faces with names and, try to swindle them into working for Benzie County from our perspective.
Hey, luck.
Tom's department is one of the more fully staffed departments that we have. And so it must be working. It's, it must be my charm when they visit. So this is to extend that agreement, though. It's a great agreement that we have in place.
I'll make motion that the Board of Commissioners authorizes the clinical affiliation agreement with West Shore Community College for clinical affiliation for the Emergency Medical Services Program. Agreement subject to approval as formed by legal counsel and authorizes the chair to sign.
Sauer will second.
Other com-
I do think that we get employees from this.
We've gotten a few.
Other comments or questions?
I do have a comment. I remember Chris Parrish coming in and talking about this program and how successful and how much it helps their pursuits. And I also recall yesterday in our budget meeting talking about how in order to build things up, we start with the EMT and move forward. So I think this is this checks all the boxes.
Mhm.
If there's no other comments or questions, roll call, please.
Roloff.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes,
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
motion carried.
back to you, Katie.
The next one I'm actually going to call Rebecca and Rachel for some help with. So Westel is the phone service within Central Dispatch, and the vendor sent a proposal to Rachel to increase the fees. And so obviously we don't just accept that right away. And so what we did is we looked into this a little further, and we tagged in Rebecca as well because she had been in dispatch quite a bit longer than Rachel and I. And what we learned is that Westel's the newest name. At one point it was ID Networks, and at another point it had another name. And this was put into place back in 2012, actually. We cannot find where it necessarily went to the Board of Commissioners maybe, but that's here nor there. So what is in front of you today is to extend the agreement with Westel for the phone service that they're providing to Central Dispatch. Rebecca was able to reach out to other vendors because they are wanting to increase from $938 a month to $1,100 a month, which is kind of a jump. And the other vendors, quite frankly, are astronomically more expensive, especially to implement. I did include one proposal in your packet that you would have seen, and then Rebecca provided me another one this morning that she had just received last night. And if we want to move from Westel and go with Motorola or the other agency within the packet, we're going to be looking to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. Motorola specifically would be $500,000 over the course of 5 years to implement that service. And so Westel really is the most advantageous way to go because of the cost. But this was not put out to specific RFP. We did ask for quotes because of the cost increase and because annually it is over the $5,000.
Before we get into any further presentations, you had this information in your packet and an opportunity to look it over. Do you need more information, or is anybody comfortable in making a motion?
I don't know technical answers, so that's where we'll call those two in.
Yes, I'd rather have those two come up and explain
Okay. That's no
their
problem.
rationale. I understand the financial end of it and guess they want to replace all the equipment.
As deputy director, I'm just a short person, just with a little
Rebecca?
bit more background.
I need you at the microphone, one of you. Whoever's speaking.
Jill is the deputy director of that department, so I'm gonna have her speak, and then if there's any technical stuff, just because she's so new and I've done it for the years prior to Rachel, I'm here to support.
Will you kind of explain what Westel is in comparison to the other phones that you have? Because you have more than one phone out there.
Yes, so Westel handles, I guess I'm too short. Westel handles our 911 lines essentially. So when a caller calls in, our PFN, which is kind of statewide, they take that call and they route it through Westel. So they handle all of our equipment for the 911 calls, as well as if we need any kind of support or that sort of thing. They also monitor to hopefully prevent any kind of outages, and they can kind of see that. So they're very connected within our systems. Westel is going up in price, apparently. We haven't been covered recently, is what the email had stated. That's why it's on the agenda today to move forward. It's still in legal review as far as I'm aware.
Just got it back today, so I just sent it to you, so.
Oh, perfect. So pending legal and that sort of thing, we would like to move forward with this increase because like Katie was saying, Rebecca did get some quotes and those quotes are much higher than what we would spend on Westel. And this will give us a couple of years to look at other companies because at some point we will need to move more than likely in a different direction.
Can you speak more to that? I mean, are you happy with Westel? Is there anything there that
There's better
makes you
service,
hesitant?
there's better services out
Okay.
there, but given that right now we are not we don't have a contract at this point, we're not covered.
Right.
So, and that's my biggest concern. If something breaks or something goes wrong, then we're gonna be on the hook to pay for it since they're not covering us. Apparently, we don't have an updated contract.
Well, that's gonna be one of my questions is if you get quotes from, say, Motorola, which I know Motorola is generally way expensive.
500,000.
What's the difference between what ID Networks or Westel's providing versus what Motorola is proposing?
So the difference in costs,
Not the cost, but in technology. I mean,
Oh.
I know the cost is hugely different, but what benefit would dispatch get going with Motorola versus ID or Westel?
What we didn't have time to do is meet with them and actually get demonstrations on what that call processing system would give us extra. I think they both offered, but we didn't have time between then and the meeting. Right now, we came down to numbers and saying to you, we have this price increase of about $400 a month or $500 a month. And I knowing exactly what happened was, well, what else is out there? Should we cost compare? And so we went and cost compared as fast as we could. And so as far as demos, we told the vendors that we talked to Katie, we have to go with Westel for the next couple of years, making sure we're writing in that we are able to get out of the contract without too many penalties. And to then take the time over the next couple of years to do the research to find out which might be a better vendor based on what we have for Westel. Westel is a small company. Benzie County under Ron Burns with Westel. It was ID Networks. It came with our original CAD. Ron has always been very efficient on saving, money and staying within our means. Westel is still the most cost effective call provider equipment. 911 CPE stuff is not the same as a phone company, is not. There's a lot of processing. They take that data, they shoot it up, and they put you on the map as far, they integrate with your CAD to get that call into where it needs to be, so dispatchers can take that information and use it appropriately. So it's a way different than just a phone line.
So our CAD vendor was ID Networks as well, correct? So
In 2012,
did they change the name to
they
Westel as
They
well?
must have at one point switched off, because the last contract we were able to research through Tammy's office where we ever had anything associated with Experian, I think they branched off and went CAD and call. And then we continued with both, and they never renewed a contract with the call direction. And then it's changed a couple of times.
Okay. I do know that there was some functions or like the animal control officer talked about the pushing the button on the radio yesterday. And is that because of the radio is handheld, or is it?
Yeah, so we pay per red button.
Okay.
And so I think his office was not included in that original purchase. The sheriff's department pays per red button.
So he has a Motorola radio versus a Kenwood, because I know the Kenwoods did not.
I think he might have a Motorola. I don't know what the animal control bought before. I think they're aging out, but yes, on that particular conversation, it's not that it's not functioning, it has to be turned on, and there's a cost to turn it on.
Like I said, I know that in the past, we've had these discussions about limitations on the ID Networks, or now Westel, versus maybe a Motorola or another vendor for CAD, what it could do, but the price tag was just like, okay, we can't even talk about it.
Yeah, for Benzie County and our current budget situation, Westel is our most economical option. It went up $400, but trust me, at $56,000 a year versus $90,000 to $80,000 a year for the same service, we can't afford that jump, but we will definitely be doing.
$62 a month.
We will be researching other options, because again, you'll pay more, but you'll get more.
And you
and
did say we can get out of this contract.
that's what we're working on with the legal right, is to make sure that, it doesn't restrict us, or if we decide we find better and it's cost efficient and it makes sense, that we don't. Westel is a decent company. They've always treated us very well, but they only have 2 counties that they service in Michigan. They're a Colorado company. And so we're looking at what our neighbors have and how we can be more efficient and get, faster service and upgrades. Currently, right now, we can't upgrade our phones until we enter into contracts, and phones are computers, and they only should last a few years before you need to fix them. Sorry to interrupt you.
I'll make the motion. The Board of Commissioners authorizes a 5-year maintenance support agreement with Westel for AP maintenance and support not to exceed annual amount of $13,200 with funds available in Central Dispatch Fund. Agreement subject to approval as to its form by legal counsel. Authorizes the chair to sign.
9 seconds.
Oh, it's enthusiasm.
Quick, Ron, just
Yeah.
Any other comments? Please.
This makes sense to me, right? We enter into the contract, we looked at other things, they're cost prohibitive. This will also at least CYA us until we can do a better job of looking around, budgeting and whatnot.
Yes, ma'am.
I agree.
There's risks going with the smaller company of them being bought out by a larger one, and they may then pass those costs on to you. That happens several times in the emergency response field. Like I've used some software companies for reporting, and they got bought out by somebody bigger, and then I had to change everything, and my cost went over double. So we do run that risk.
That is a risk, yes.
We do have a 30-day window, if I read that correct, get out, correct?
So that agreement was the agreement they presented us with. I sent it to legal, who just responded this morning, who was tweaking it a little bit to make it more in our favor to get out easier.
I think Rebecca wants to say something.
Yeah, we have to have a backup in place, which again, the startup fees are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars just to implement. So again, we don't have that currently right now in our budget. It's just, so this isn't working for us in Switch. That's a very isolated service. And everybody who provides it knows it. And that's what it is, the way it is, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good discussion. We have a motion with support. Is there other comments?
I just think that this day and age, looking at a 14.7-ish hike, with everything else we're paying gobs of money for, that doesn't seem too out of line for me. It's just kind of par for the course.
Well, and if you actually look from the original contract in 2012, we were paying $900 a month, and as of today, we're paying $938. So since 2012 till now, I mean, there was almost no increase.
Yeah,
So it was only a matter of time they asked.
sure. Thank you.
On an annualized basis, pretty minimal, huh?
Yeah. But it's a contract, so it's your responsibility.
Anything else?
It's a 5-year contract.
With and out. Yep.
Yo.
With and out. Yep.
If not, roll call, please.
Sauer,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janat,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Roseman,
Yes.
motion carried.
We're at 10:40. Would you like a break?
Yes.
Let's take 5 minutes.
You're now unmuted.
All right, we'll call it back in session at 10:49. And we have a grant application to Rotary Charities.
Yes. So about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer, John Willow with the chamber came forward to ask the Board of Commissioners if Benzie County would be willing to co-sponsor or co-applicant an application to Rotary. And at that time, you said, yep, you would be a co-applicant or a co-sponsor, but bring back the grant application specifically because it wasn't ready at that time. The grant application now is ready. I've included it here in the packet. This is a seed grant application to Rotary Charities of Traverse City. This is for $13,600, and this is for strategic planning for the chamber and the economic development partnership that we're in with the chamber. So that's what's in front of you today, is to approve the co-application for this seed grant of $13,600. There is no match for this grant either. So it's just that 13,600.
And I'll just remind the board, as I probably did the last time we discussed this was part of the value in a partnership, is that we had access to grants they may not have access to.
That's correct.
I'd entertain a motion.
Okay, Matthew moves that the Board of Commissioners authorizes the co-application with the Benzie Area Chamber of Commerce for the Rotary Charity Seed Grant application and authorizes administration to complete the necessary documents for submission.
Triggle second.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing, sorry.
I just wanted to say something that again, this is a grant helping out with administrative costs. I think this is a good use of grant funding, helping us with some of those things. And yeah, I had to say.
Thanks for your comments, Christy. Anything else? Roll call, please.
Greg,
Yes.
Janai,
Yes.
Markey,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Roloffs.
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, we're at commissioner reports. Gary, if we could start with you today.
They prepared for this, I don't know why. Did submit one, it's probably in here. There it is. At the health department. Yes, that's not sure.
Would you like me to start with somebody else?
No, I got it. It's like going through the budget stuff for me. They talked about Kratom, yes, is the name of it. It's I'd never heard of it before. But it's actually, they're making a synthetic one. It's from a plant. And the kids are using it. It's legal to buy. And it's almost has the effects of opioids. And you can buy it at the tobacco places and places that I would have never guessed. And I see eventually this is going to be could be a big problem. There is some legislation going on in Lansing. I don't know if they're going to do anything, but who knows? And I also put in there incorrectly that the local appropriations by the health department was not asked for in the last couple of years, but it was 2 years ago they didn't ask for it. But this time they did, and they did last year, so that was wrong. Joyfield Township. I'm hoping they will do something about the recycling thing. The clerk basically asks that they look into making it a usable thing for the commercial property. To me, that's important. I hope they are successful. I worry that they put too many barriers with their zoning and stuff, and I know a lot of people don't like it. They like to have certain restrictions, but you can go too far. And if you get pushed too far, you might end up in court, see how it goes, but I think they're working towards allowing this on the commercial property. Everybody's talking about early voting, July 25th through August 2nd. One thing I didn't know, or the clerk knew, if you do an absentee ballot, you can take it in and run it through the machine during that time. So
Yeah.
that's another option, which to me, you have an absentee ballot, and why do you need early voting? Anyway, go there some other day. Village of Alberta had a special meeting, and this was really interesting. The gentleman's name is Jimmy Baldwin. I guess he was a past police officer or something. And they have a DBA as Code Enforcement Consultant, AI LLC. They're going to use AI. They're going to have a camera on top of the car and drive around the community looking for infraction. They're going to download the zoning ordinance into the AI stuff. I don't see anything go wrong here. Anyway, I don't know what the legal restrictions would be. This company has also talked to Frankfurt. They talked to Josh Mills, and Josh says, well, we're waiting to see how Alberta makes out. So we'll go from there. The Betsy Valley Trail, the snowbirds came and gave a talk, and a lot of them are retired now, so they're willing to help on the trail. I thought that was good. And then we approved trail crossing for Team Ross Landscaping that was doing some work on some of the properties on Crystal Lake. And we asked that they abide by a few things, and it appears that we wanted signage on the trail so people know, there's something, that could be a vehicle on the trail. It's allowed through the Bigelow Agreement. They don't have a problem with that, but I just want to make sure that if somebody's riding a bike or hiking on the trail, that they have a safe, they're forewarned. There's something coming up, and be prepared, because trails aren't that. And then the last thing I went to, and I already told Art, was the Betsy Valley Trail, or not Betsy Valley, what am I looking at? Benzie Bus, the BTA gave us a workshop at Lane Wood. I don't know if anybody was here besides me when she was the head of Networks Northwest. She gave the training. I thought it was well done, and I just wanted to comment. One of her comments was, this board looks like it works together well, and things are going to get done. So I was impressed. It's not I think the row of speed bumps that we've had in the past are over, and it's always good to get any kind of training you can, but that was about 4 hours of fun. So anyway, that's about all I have.
Questions for Gary?
Yeah, Gary, with Jessica leaving, has the Benzie Bus discussed at all how they're gonna handle that?
Not yet. I don't know if that was just made official.
I think Monday.
No.
We had the resignation letter, but yeah. Right now, Chad's gonna take it over till they have time to do stuff on it. I don't know there, but yeah.
Gary, I'm glad that you attended that training and stayed connected with that board. I agree with you. I think that we're going to have some opportunities to move forward on that. And I understand now this is also, I guess, been official. Jessica's moving on to Benzie Senior Resources. Gary, I hope on that.
Well, I know you asked me about this, didn't you? And I did read all the emails, Cassidy Roberts on the M22 Byway project. And right now, it's kind of in the preliminary stages. I don't think we have a meeting till near the end of August. So we haven't approved it as a board. they want to change the membership down to 3 per county, something like that. Versus right now, anybody that's along M22 townships, they submit names, we've submitted names. So there's probably a lot more people on this group than is necessary. We get it to a smaller working group, I think it's good. We haven't really finalized this, but sounds like they want the Board of Commissioners to make the appointments and the recommendation.
So there's currently 42 members on that group, of which about 20 are active.
Right.
But I'll bet you not everybody even knows what the M22 byway is. So I know the two of you do. So you want to explain that to the group?
Oh, well, but it's a group that's overseeing M22 byway as a state recognition. And they want to promote the byway and they want to promote the areas. Some of my townships say, nah, don't do that. But it's more of a tourist thing, I guess, is how I look at it. But there's some opportunities with MDOT financially that I think could be helpful. They want to do some signage, Wayfair signage. I'm still confused on exactly what you always. You know, so what's available on there? You got Arcadia Bluffs. This thing goes all the way to north. So you've got a lot of communities involved. There's a trail up in Leelanau County, those kind of things. And I think it's a good idea, but you need input from the locals. So
I think you meant to say wayfinding signs.
yeah, that's it.
Christie, anything you want to add to it? Because I know you've attended some of their meetings.
I have, I honestly think this is kind of a decent idea to kind of pare down, for like voting members. That makes a lot of sense to me right now. It feels like it's hodgepodgey, and sometimes I don't even know where I fit. And it makes sense to me to have something. Now, the Board of Commissioners having to make these appointments. I mean, you need a body. Board of Commissioners kind of makes sense to me. You need somebody to kind of say, yeah, from our county, these delegates we think are the ones that will be most impactful to this committee.
A lot to digest, but it's bottom line is this, is that the reason why I've asked them to bring it up is that sometime in the next several months, we're going to get a request to form a committee that we appoint. And it could be 6 months, it could be 12 months from now, but it started out with MDOT. They contracted out with Networks Northwest. Tim, I don't even know if you guys have even talked about it at Networks Northwest, have you? The M22 byway. So a lot of information to come yet, but we wanted you to be aware that this conversation's out there. It affects Manistee, Benzie, and Leelanau County. Probably enough said right now. Gary, not to violate any trust, but you had talked to me that you were thinking about putting your application in for the MAC board. Did you do that?
Did it for the at-large position.
Okay. So you're going to need every vote you can for the September conference. I'm going to ask the board members that if you show up for nothing else, show up for that vote. So get that on your calendar. I think that's from September 9th to the 11th.
I don't get a vote. Don't look at me.
We really hadn't talked about this
So the
yet.
commissioners.
But we have one of our own that are seeking a board membership there. I hope I didn't embarrass you, Gary, but I wanted
It's all
people to get it
red.
on I want you to get it on your calendars.
I'm gonna need to hear what his platform is.
My platform?
Oh, gosh.
Let's do that another time. When we get closer to the vote.
Okay.
Let's see how many apply.
All right, Christie?
Yeah, so it's been a slow couple of weeks for me. So I was unable to attend the airport authority meeting. I had a conflict. Lake Township Chair, you attended that on our behalf. The materials management committee in Leelanau was canceled due to lack of quorum. So yes, I really don't have anything to report. But I will have a whole bunch next time because I've got everything coming up in the next 2 weeks.
So does anybody want to embarrass Christie by asking her questions she
Yeah,
can't
you
answer?
need to ask me a question about,
Airport authority, I'm gonna say what she is.
well, I can still speak to some things.
We'll see how quick you are on your feet, right?
Yeah.
All right. We'll look forward to getting a more thorough report next time. Tim?
The Homestead Township Board, the township clerk submitted her resignation due to health reasons. Township Board talked with her and she agreed to stay on until after the August election because that would have been June.
To say the
Um,
least.
The township supervisor is working on a memorandum of understanding with the Benzie Conservation District. They're looking to build their headquarters building on the Platte. Central Wellness Network Board, we spent quite a bit of time with the CEO search firm, talking about, minimum requirements for the new CEO, wage range and what they're gonna be publishing, put out there. It was also mentioned that the now former director of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Elizabeth Hertel, her last day was June 30th, and Amy S. Epke will be serving as acting director. Chip Johnston informed us that the Michigan House of Representatives removed language around oversight about the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services using RFPs and the Medicaid waivers. There was language in there that they would have to get the approval from legislators before they would make changes to Medicaid waivers and issuing RFPs to change structure. But that was removed. I did receive a note from Chip the next day that there was a new section, section 1530 was added into the appropriations budget at the last minute. Medicaid waiver approvals, that the House prohibits the department from requesting or implementing a CMS waiver or Medicaid state plan amendment prior to statutory approval. So that did make it in. I'm not 100% sure exactly the ramifications of the wordage. It was just a short text message. We also heard from recipient rights, their tri-annual assessment. Central Wellness was found to be in full compliance. The Village of Honor Council meeting met last night. Their new zoning administrator resigned due to health issues. This is the lady that was doing it remotely. And the village determined that that's probably not a good model for them. And they're in the process for looking for a new zoning administrator. Project Feed the Kids will be placing one of their coolers at Manley Park. Right now they're planning next Thursday to be the grand opening or ribbon cutting thing for the Feed the Kids cooler, Manley Park. Council's continuing working on cleaning up their ordinances. Last night they had an example that they had 5 documented titled ordinance 44. And they weren't all the same topic. So this council's taking the bull by the horns and they're trying to fix a lot of things. This year, the Coho Festival is, it's its 59th year. They were planning a big 60th year, the following year. But this year, it's growing a little bit. They'll have their normal events, plus they will have carnival rides this year and a lumberjack competition.
Oh,
And that's all.
That's me. Is there questions or comments for Tim on his report?
That would be fun. You have the dates on Coho Festival? Oh, Bob does.
I could probably go to their website and tell you.
22nd of August.
I know I'll be filling up a big pool with water with my tankers because of the log roll. Lumberjacks.
And you said feed the kids. Did you say it was like a refrigerator?
It's a refrigerator. It's a refrigerator that they put out in public spaces
Mm-hmm.
and they fill it up with like little lunches, sandwiches and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And go up and, I mean, needy families, if you need, take what you need.
Right, and so there's less stigma, right? Because nobody's like overseeing it, nobody's asking you any questions. You
Yeah, there's
just go and
several,
take.
several of these places throughout Traverse City area.
Mhm.
There's one in Interlochen, one I think Tom's Corners. There's quite a few.
Didn't J&S Hamburger do it?
Yeah, JS Hamburg actually is the main sponsor for this.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And just as a follow-up, the name that you gave us to participate with the EDC's strategic planning,
Jesse?
yeah, was he the village president?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has agreed to participate.
Yeah, I talked to him later that day, actually.
Okay. Chamber was really pleased that he was willing to do that.
He's very engaged with the community. He's a young fellow. The Village Runner Council is a very young council, which is, they're very, very energetic. They do fantastic.
Well, I tell you what, they're the ones that are being responsible for what happens going forward. So I'm glad to see them participating. Bob?
Sure. Couple of events recently, this one has been a few weeks ago, but the Eric Florup 5K, in remembrance of Eric, who passed away from exposure to burn pits while in the Army or Marine Corps. Family donated $4,463 to Benzie County Veterans Affairs to help family support, not just veteran support, but family support, if need be. Always a good event. I do not take part in a 5K run, but I am part of the overall. I follow the rear with my side by side in the event anybody needs a ride back. So, this one doesn't have to do with Benzie County necessarily, but Culver's has a car show every year, and it can range anywhere from 300 to 350 show cars. It's a huge event, and it goes to support the Disabled American Veterans Transportation. You'll see cars coming out of Manistee, DAV inside of them as well. Traverse City, we have 2 DAV cars, and that they used to go all around Saginaw, especially to the Saginaw VA Hospital, and or down in Flint, down to wherever to VA health facilities. Now that's all we can handle, the majority of that in-house, but still there's folks that need a ride once in a while. We do have one of our cars laid up, hit a deer here a few weeks ago, so waiting on those things, but fortunately the cars are only going here and there. They're not going 5-6 hours away sometimes, where volunteer drivers, it takes a toll on them. Elmira Township had their historical society get together in Village Park, fill the village. I set that up and I take it down at the end of the day, so it's a long day, but it's a good fundraiser for them as well. It goes towards helping the Elmira Township Museum. And brought up Cove Festival. That's about all I got.
Any questions for Bob?
Just got one comment that I'd like to bring up. The Veterans Affairs, she has been working with the dental clinic over at the health department, and we're trying to use some of that grant money to help veterans get dental care. So I think it's a lot of times it's been spent on advertising. I think this is a lot better option. So hopefully this will work out. I'll bring you up to date as much as I can sometime, or Bob.
Well, and the VA doesn't offer dental care with their healthcare unless it's connected to a service connected disability. So general dental care, they don't get in the game, but so this is good and it's in-house for the most part. It's taking care of our folks that are in the county. So I think it's a good idea.
Any other comments or questions?
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Besides agenda review and our budget meeting yesterday, I attended the Village of Benzonia. They had a long conversation discussing the potential recycling spot on village grounds. They had some drawings and stuff. The concern of the board was really with getting their sand out of their pole building, having enough space to turn their big trucks around to get their sand. And they're just very protective of their village. They're concerned about the debris blowing and what that would mean. So they did not make a decision. They wanted more information, and I think they were gonna specifically speak with Dave and have him come over and talk a little bit more about that. They've had an inquiry about a parcel of property they own on Severance Street, which is an alternative site for a well, should they need it down the road, but the tower, it's Tower Company Telecom inquiry. They want a letter of intent from the village saying that they intend to lease the site to them before they will provide engineering specs or even a proposal. And so the board was a little bit leery of signing a document like this without understanding what those implications were. So they decided to forward that to their village attorney to see what that would mean if they sign that. They are moving forward with Deering, I think it's Deering tree removal to have the Japanese knotweed treated in the village. Very invasive. This is a type of weed you should not cut because it comes back with a vengeance, has the ability to really damage your infrastructure, water lines, things like that. So they've been very good at identifying every spot in the village where it exists and getting property owners permission to treat it, and are moving forward with that. And then one of the big announcements, their street chair said that MDOT has approved a stoplight at Travers Ave and US 31. I don't know the timeline, so that would be past Stapleton's, the next crossroad where EMS.
Are they gonna move the other one though?
No, so we would have two.
We'd have 2 lights.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so
Right.
close to each other.
No close to each other?
Right?
Yeah, that's my
that is
question. So
something.
close to each other.
I think we are.
Well, and this is in response to the, really horrible incidents that have happened people trying to cross at the top of the road there. So yeah, I mean, everybody's kind of like, what about Grace Road in 31? That kind of thing, but that was the announcement there.
I thought they would put a roundabout there.
Easy.
So, I attended the Water Smart Land Use Committee meeting. Lake Township Zoning Administrator Mark was there. He talked a lot about the consulting firm they've hired to pull together what they're calling their environmental and lake protection standards. And what they're doing is combining all the watershed and overlays information to come up with protective covenants for their township. And some of them are pretty strict, but they provide options. I mean, we're talking about shooting for 20% impervious surfaces is going to be the baseline, and fertilization of any type prohibited. From what point, 35 feet from the water, they're not clear on, but they are very excited about these provisions that they're going to be putting in place. The Conservation District also, if you remember, was awarded the DocuSign grant for $300,000. And if I heard them correctly, they said they will be monitoring Benzie County lakes in the community to know the health of the lakes through a comprehensive program, which will have training and a database. So more to come on that. Gary was not there. I attended the Betsy River Zoning Board of Appeals. A property owner wanted to put up a house on a riverfront property and needed a variance because of where the septic system would need to go closer to the river than the Natural River Act would approve. That was, the request was approved with conditions that gutters and diversionary measures be used to divert the water from the rain to the east of the house away from the river. And it was also mentioned in that meeting that we need, as a board, Gary and I are assigned to that board, we need alternates. So I don't know if that's something we want to take up down the road. There's still an opening for a seat at large. If you know somebody who's interested in making decisions on the Natural Rivers Act as it pertains to the Betsy, this board is combined with Manistee County. Gary and I get the information, maybe this has been busy, but once or twice a year.
Yeah.
For people looking for variances, and we're only voting members if it's in our county. But we do attend the requests in Manistee County. So, and that is facilitated by the DNR. And
What's the name of that committee again?
the zoning, Betsy Rivers Zoning Board of Appeals. I also attended the land bank. There are 4 homes in Benzie County that we're going to go into the foreclosure auction, which is August 27th. The land bank will be taking one of those properties. They have the option to pull them before they go to auction. Because there is a letter of intent filed on the property they're taking, they will be paying 2 times the SEV on that property. And their intent as the land bank is to clean up this property and put it back on the market and sell it. Central Wellness, Tim covered that very well. We will be meeting on August 6th is our next meeting, and because of the time frame for Chip Johnston's retirement, we will be meeting weekly after August 6th because the whole board is considered, the decision makers on this next selection. So there's going to be a lot of the company they hired has just a lot of processes in place for how that selection is going to go. So everybody has been put on notice to be available weekly for a month or so. And then the only other really exciting thing, mark your calendars, July 22nd, next Wednesday, from 6 to 8 at the Benzonia Township Hall. This is being called the Sewer Study Final Report Presentation and a question and answer. And join us for a presentation by Wade Trim to outline the information contained in the final sewer feasibility report. The presentation will briefly outline the service districts reviewed, the various methods of wastewater collection and treatment investigated, and will indicate the potential associated costs for the preferred alternative. A question and answer session will follow the presentation. So again, July 22nd, next Wednesday, 6 o'clock at the Benzonia Township Hall. And that's all I have.
Just one question. You talked about the Japanese knotweed.
Mhm.
What are they treating it with?
Oh,
No.
They referenced the chemical. I don't remember it. And go ahead.
Yeah, whoever's applying it, obviously is licensed. so
Yes, they are. Deering is
Curious.
licensed. Yeah, yeah,
Kills that stuff.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
they are.
Any other questions or comments? Rhonda, do you want to comment at all about the grant that Beulah was hoping to get to help with their sewer expense?
My meeting is tonight, but in my research, I did not see the appropriation was made to Beulah to assist with their wastewater project. So disappointing. And unless my research is wrong, but I did look it up as soon as the budget was approved, and that was not included.
So that's going to cause some real hardship potentially in Beulah, because this isn't optional. Let us know as a county what we can be doing to support. I don't know what it is, but it's unfortunate that didn't happen. And I understand that you are going to be, if you're not already, working with the chamber on some of initiatives maybe for Benzonia, Beulah, going back to that discussion about them having conversations for the corridor.
I'm meeting with John Willow on Thursday morning and just bringing her up to speed on the sewer feasibility study and the history that I'm aware of involving that. And, one of the bullet points that we supported with the new arrangement was the dedication to infrastructure. And so with this feasibility study done, the question remains, and will be what's next. And so, we'll be talking about that.
Wanted to make sure you guys got connected.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
If there's nothing else, Lynn?
Okay, I think the first thing, couple of meetings having to do with the dispatch director, you know, the rescission discussion and decision or recommendation, and bringing on Ms. Stevens in that second set of interviews. Good experience with that. I had a fairly small list of things. Big things are the Inland Township and Colfax Township meetings. Neither one lacked drama at all. I can tell you that the Colfax on this is where I'm gonna get in trouble probably. We had a very, very unhinged individual that only showed up about 30 minutes late for the public comment portion of our event here. Accusing the board basically of allowing a meth dealer to roam free and and it's our fault, and screaming at us, and to the point where I had a side conversation. I came in a couple of days ago, talked to our attorney over here, and about a couple of things. But yeah, sometimes we're kind of held out in the open there. We don't have law enforcement there sitting with us. We don't have the sheriff sitting in our meetings like we have here sometimes. Some of these guys, they go from loud to gesticulating violently, and then you don't know if he's going to go back and get of course, Colfax, a couple of people on the board there decided to go back and forth with him, which I never think's a good idea. Let's poke the crazy guy, so anyway, so I'm just bringing that out there, that just be aware of that when in these meetings. And with respect to the rest of that meeting, everything went well. We had a nice discussion about the operating millage. That I had about a 15-minute back and forth with everybody during the commissioner portion of our show, and yeah, a lot of questions about what happens if the millage fails. And I said, well, if we're gonna bring it back up in November, trust me, with probably a renewed sense of urgency and awareness on that. But yeah, and I specifically talked about animal control and some of the other things that were important to the people that were asking the questions. And they finally, I could see a couple of light bulbs. So the 5 to 7 people that normally attend the Colfax meeting all seem to be on board, which I guess is a good thing. Tell your friends, kind of attitude. So enough on that one. Inland Township, it's a horse of a different color. I wouldn't say unhinged, but we had a gentleman who decided to launch personal attacks on the supervisor and one of the trustees, and basically held a mini campaign that vote for his opponent. Or, well, one's not running, but the other one, vote for, I forgot the name he used, and that, he's Mr. Whistleblower. I've given the state investigators, you're all being investigated. And his last words before he stormed off were basically, "You have been warned," in kind of the Darth Vader voice a little bit. So I don't know what, that's not why I like to attend. I attend these meetings because I'm observing, taking notes, and inputting where I can, but I don't appreciate that because I don't think we would want to be treated that same way by people that, again, First Amendment, hey, knock yourself out. But I don't think that when you do personal attacks that, and not following the rules. And I wish we had your little beeper over there, Tammy, because we could use it, because somehow these 3 minutes turned into 5-minute monologues. And so more to come on that. A lot of this is probably just my opinion, but other than that, the Inland handled their business. There's this basic housekeeping stuff that they did. They talked about lights for the flagpoles and just things like that, cleanups and mowing and of different areas. So that was pretty normal, except for the public comment and then whoever this guy was in the Colfax. So just keep in mind their safety first too. I mean, there were times where I think people were getting ready to call somebody, they come get this guy. So other than that, I'm building grounds tomorrow. Looking forward to that. And I guess I did the budget meeting as well yesterday. Any questions for me, please?
Sounds like you're having fun.
It never a dull moment. I mean, the only calm part was when Katie was there. She should show up more often because nothing crazy happens in Colfax when she's there.
Well, they're scared of her.
That's probably what it is. Yeah.
I'd be scared of this too.
I'm glad because Inland's in my district also. I'm glad that you attend that meeting because quite frankly, sounds like the township meetings I participate in are pretty boring. We try not to poke the crazy guy, you know, so.
Well, it's usually just two groups. You have the one that's the anti-dog kennel, that's quieted down completely, which is great. That conversation. But then the same guy, he comes about every 3 meetings, every 4 meetings, he'll come back with some other rant. So.
Yeah, that's, the chair needs to control that. You know, we have, at this board, we've set the precedence that, quite frankly, we don't let things get out of hand. Bob, a number of years ago, quite frankly, set the standard. Someone was chastising us on a political basis, and he made it very clear, we don't deal with politics here, we deal with the county's business.
Yeah.
And left it at that. Anything else, Lynn?
Nope, that's
God, I
long
hope
short of
not.
it. Let you know. Stay tuned. Yeah.
So I'll touch on some highlights. I have 3 things that I'm allowed Katie to touch on, and I'll prompt you when you get to your report. At Lake Township, for what it's worth, they put in control signs lacking a contract with the sheriff's office. They put in speed control signs on Crystal Lake Drive and on Deadstream. Hopefully that'll satisfy the residents. At Platte Township, there was a discussion regarding Ironman. And Rebecca, I say this for your benefit as much as any. They really feel like they're never part of the conversation. And they want to make sure they're invited to all the meetings going forward. Now, there may not be a Ironman next year, but that was a relevant conversation for them that they need to be a bigger part of the planning. Rose Roloffs was appointed the deputy administrator. Is that the right expression? Supervisor at Elmira Township, and should be getting that role soon. And I'll prompt you on the other ones that I have. You know it, you'll know it when they come up. That's all I've got.
Of course.
Okay. Katie,
Sure.
I'm gonna start prompting you.
Yeah, go for it.
No, go ahead, please.
Over the last couple of weeks, we've been pretty busy in the office, just cleaning things up as we find them. Art and I did meet with the folks from Bacon the other day. Bacon would really like to just explore additional partnership opportunities, not only with the county, but other entities within Benzie County, and just try to work through this whole idea of not duplicating efforts on a lot of things. We've talked about this at this level as well. You know, let's make sure all the players are on the same table and not heading down the same track side by side. So we talked through that, and we're going to make some connections with the folks at Bacon, with some different county folks too, to just start having those conversations from a juvenile court perspective, schools perspective, and things like that. I did look into the Board of Commissioner pay yesterday because that was brought up. You did bake in a 3% increase for yourselves starting in January. So we'll make sure everything is budgeted accordingly. And you'll see a difference in your pay in your next payroll, I believe, but I'll have to get with Leslie on the timing. But you did bake in a 3% increase through 2028, actually. So Tammy was able,
3% every year.
yeah.
Gary, your memory's not as bad as you thought it was.
Yeah, because Tammy and I didn't remember. None of us remembered, but Gary. So
Interesting the things you remember, Gary.
I know. Yeah, it's okay. Art and I and Leslie sat down virtually with folks from the DTMB related to DHHS downstairs. We hadn't had an opportunity to go through the proposal, the 3 of us, and make some notes down so that as we talked through that conversation, you know, we were all straight and narrow on that. To my surprise, they were very receptive to the things that we had to say. Everything from modifying the parking requirements and, you know, modifying the remodel that they want to do, and potentially factoring in some sort of CPI or other inflationary mechanism for the rent to increase, timing. I mean, they really nothing was no from them, which I was pleasantly surprised about. There's some things that they're working on, going back to their folks to ask some of those questions. We're on our side just kind of working through some of those things that we talked about. One of the items that none of us really were aware of was related to our internet service. So since DHHS has went mostly virtual, Benzie County has noticed a burst in its bandwidth. But none of us can confirm whether or not they're using our bandwidth. But one would lead me to believe that potentially they are, because that's why we're bursting, because they're all gone. So we're working through some of those questions. And so we were really pleasantly surprised that they were really willing to come to the table and have that conversation. We put additional days on the calendar. So we'll be meeting with them here in the next few weeks to work through that a little bit further, depending on how that meeting goes. We'll kind of set the tone for when it comes back before you. It goes through 2029, but they're willing to open the lease early and move through this process. They do want a pretty big remodel down there. We do have some concerns that there'll be a ripple effect because their remodel requires certain ADA requirements. And sometimes when that happens, there's then a ripple effect in the rest of the building. And we have quite a few areas in the building that are not ADA compliant, specifically both of our courtrooms. And so we talked about that as well, and that the state would partner or pay for any of those ripple effect changes that would need to be made throughout the building specifically. So a lot of discussion on that, and I think it went really, really well. The other thing too is we're working at a policy in our office to bring forward to you related to the donation of PTO to the coworkers. So sometimes our coworkers are in a pickle that other folks would like to donate time to them for various reasons. And we've kind of allowed it. We've just done it over time, but we really need to memorialize that process that we have in place. So a policy will be coming forward for you to consider, just to memorialize that process. Our staff are very caring of each other. We don't want to limit that sort of support for each other. So we're going to memorialize that policy so that it's just clean going forward. Tom and I met with the city of Frankfort. Joanne was there, the mayor, Mr. Cedarholm there, the fire chief, and then Dale Chambers was also there. And we talked about this whole idea of EMS within Frankfort. There was some concern that potentially they were pursuing becoming a transport service on their own, whether it's BLS or ALS. And we really wanted to get in front of that and say, hey, what's actually happening? What are you actually thinking? And they were very clear that whatever they do going forward, they want to have a partnership with Benzie County. And so it was a great conversation that we talked through about how can Benzie and Frankfort work together to provide an additional truck within Benzie County, utilizing their staff and our equipment. It would fall under our license, so it's still Benzie County EMS, but it would be an additionally staffed truck, probably part-time at first, maybe full-time in the future, but it would be a full partnership deal. So we work through those terms going forward. Everybody was really, excited about moving forward with this on a partnership deal. We think that's really great that they have the staff, they just need help with the equipment and the license, and we can work together too, especially during those peak months in Benzie County when, Frankfort, they're out of trucks pretty quickly. Benzie County's out of trucks pretty quickly. And so if this is a way to partner with the city of Frankfort to add in that additional truck, even at the BLS level, that would be a huge benefit to the community specifically. So we met, everybody was really excited as we walked away. We also put dates on the calendar related to that as when we're going to get back together. So I would anticipate probably end of August, September, before you're seeing any sort of draft, terms related to a relationship going forward with the city of Frankfort. That's kind of what I have. Art, did I miss something that's on your punch list?
No, you're ticking it off pretty good. I do want to comment regarding negotiation with DHHS. They are coming along well.
Mhm.
Katie represents us very well in those conversations. She's professional. she takes Benzie County, I think, in the outlook of Benzie County to a new level. So good job on your part. I just wanted to add a conversation. I should have said this during my report. The Frankfurt DDA has committed $25,000 a year to the economic development effort of the county. So they really stepped up and were willing to do that. Katie, can you give us an update regarding the Benzonia Township building, please?
Yep. The Benzonia Township building is officially the Benzie County building now. That will become EMS Station 1. And so that's space was where Tom will also be. We have walked that space, myself, Tom King, as well as some of his staff, as well as Rebecca Hubers, to just get a layout for the space. What's the need now? What's the potential need in the future? Where can we all work together to figure out space needs, storage needs, those sorts of things. So that was it's great news. The space really is turnkey ready from a day car perspective, because there's existing offices in there. There's an existing kitchenette in there. So it's just a matter of, getting some office furniture set up for reporting, grab a TV and a refrigerator, and it can start being used here pretty quickly, specifically. And then, as you know, yesterday we talked about we're budgeting into next fiscal year to really work on that remodel so that we can make that a full-time station. The bays, there's 4 bays and they're quite large. And from a space needs standpoint, Benzie County EMS doesn't need all 4 bays right now, but other departments need some of that space for county equipment. And so we're working together on that lane to figure out what we can put in those extra bays so we don't have things that are out in the elements and we don't have things that are being stored by every neighbor in Benzie County. They can be in Benzie County property, like the comm van or the CERT trailer or maybe the boats. And so we're working through that process too. Obviously, EMS needs come first and foremost, but there's additional space there that we could store a trailer, a Benzie County trailer in there so that it's not in the elements. As you know, the elements make things deteriorate faster. The idea is to extend the longevity of the equipment that we have. And so we're working through that process. Matt Delzio and Nate Feldposh, they're 2 paramedics with Benzie EMS, both have a builder mindset. And so they were feverishly writing notes and drawing plans on paper that they're going to share with me as to their ideas and thoughts and things going forward. So they're very excited. That staff is very, very excited. I hope that you guys cross paths with some of those paramedics here and there. I'm sure they're going to thank you because they're very excited to have this new space to serve Benzie County. So I just say thank you for moving forward with that because you really got them tickled for that. So
I drove by this morning, one of your vehicles was parked outside, not in.
they're in there.
They're
They're in
inside or
there.
not?
Well, no, so they're in there just moving things around, looking at
Okay.
things, so they're stopping there throughout the day and kind of going through things. One thing that we've identified is people keep parking in front of those doors. And it's because I think they know there's no fire in there anymore. And so the first thing that we're working on is cleaning up the signage, adding additional no parking signage so that people will start to see, hey, there's some traction here. You can't park here anymore. One of the fun ideas, so you probably saw on the one center bay, there's a mural that's kind of fire department related mural that's painted on the one door. The idea was to do an art contest and have a community artist be a chosen winner of the contest to do a mural that's Benzie EMS related. So just trying to, make it look really nice from a face, facade. But we are working on getting the signage updated first and foremost so that people start recognizing that, hey, I can't park in front of these doors anymore. Yeah.
Other questions or comments for Katie?
Yeah, I just want you to briefly speak to our budgeting process has started, our
Mhm.
meetings. Can you just clarify the timeline on this for folks who are thinking, well, how can you be doing the budgeting process when the August 4th vote hasn't happened yet? And I'm going to let you take it from there.
Sure. So we are in the midst of budgeting right now for the fiscal year 26-27 fiscal year. That fiscal year starts October 1st of this year, goes through September 30th of next year. When the voters approved the word of indefinite being removed from the ballot language, that said that the millage was 2026 inclusive. So the 26 tax year is what we're in right now. We have a summer levy and a winter levy, both for 26. So we are technically levying through the 26 tax year. We are levying that 3.18 millage for general operating mills. That is what we're using then to plan for next year's budget. So it's always, we get the money and then, the budget's coming. And so that's what we're doing right now. What's in front of the voters for August is 27, 28 inclusive. So that will include the 27 tax year and the 28 tax year if approved. And those numbers will be used for the 27, 28 and the 28, 29 fiscal years. We take a very long time to budget. It's a 6 months process that we're working through budgeting. And so it seems like it's too far in advance, but it really is not. We started budgeting in April with a tentative adoption of the budget, that first meeting in September specifically. So we really, start early to make sure that we're minding all of our P's and Q's to make sure that we're budgeting appropriately. We're budgeting within line of the revenues we believe we're going to expend and that sort of thing. So the millage is on the August ballot is for 27, 28 inclusive. They're very weird terms that the ballot language always uses. You see these on most millages. It says inclusive. That means it includes that final year within that levy. If it didn't say inclusive, if it's an exclusive or just 26, 27, inclusive is what brings in those numbers. And so we're budgeting right now based on the final levy of the general operating millage of 3.18.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Tim.
With regards to Benzie EMS, it seems like, and I think these are good things, by the way, Benzie EMS is, growing,
Yes.
going in space. We got the Station 3 remodeled, new Station 1. Now we're in talks with Frankfurt Fire and City about maybe adding another truck with utilizing some of their personnel. I'm guessing because Benzie is an ALS service, we may want to have one of our medics and maybe one of their EMTs kind of. I don't know what that conversation entailed, but yesterday, Tom talked about changing his rotation or the truck purchasing from every 2 years to one every 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That may change real soon because it looks like we might be offering more services and probably would need at least one other truck on.
Well, we currently have 5 trucks total.
Trucks total.
Yep. And so we are thinking about that. Yes. And Tom has that plan in place for what that means going forward. With the 5 trucks, we have one available for Station 1 and one available for additional truck in Frankfurt. If it were to happen this year, there's just then no backup. So that's why we would look at the rhythm of how often we're purchasing. We have one coming. So we're not going to resell one because we have one coming and we've maintained it well enough that we can push it out a couple of more years.
Making sure you guys thought of that.
Yep.
With respect to EMS, I want to acknowledge this board and the actions that you've taken in the last 12 months. You upgraded the living quarters over at Frankfurt. You've expanded the services, understanding that the growth in our market is age 60 and up. Those are all the right things to look at. And it did take some courage to say, we're going to use county money to do that. So good for this group. Katie, anything you want to end with?
I don't think so.
Okay. Then you have the presentation of correspondence that you had in advance of the meeting. And I'll open up the last public comment. Seeing none, I'll close public comment and look for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Bob? Second.